All right, somehow I just did this video and it recorded in ultra high speed. So I'm gonna keep it written here and talk you through a few concepts on here. And we're gonna start with exploring and understanding inverse functions. So we have a difference between a relationship and a function. A relationship's when you pair elements from one set domain to range. That's just any pairing whatsoever. It means you got elements in set A, somehow pair up to elements in set B. It could be in any fashion whatsoever. All right. And a function is a relationship which every input has one output. We've talked about that quite often. Every x has one y. It passes that vertical line test. I'm actually going to write vertical line test right here. Vertical line test. All right. So once you figure something is a function, there's two types of functions. All right. I'm gonna start with many to one. All right. A function automatically starts with this many to one, and that's it is a special type of function. All right. Outputs always have every input has an output, and there may be an output, maybe one, maybe two, or maybe multiple that have more than one inputs. That would be a many to one function. All right. This function would still pass the vertical line test. All right. There's a special type of function. All right. It's called a one-to-one function. That means not only does every output have one input, right? Input have one output, but every output has one input. So being a function means that every input has an output, and being a one-to-one function means every output has an input. So this guy, not only does every x have a single y, but that y is only grouped with that x. Every y has a single x. And a one-to-one function would not only pass the vertical line test, but it would also pass a horizontal line test. All right. So we're going to show you them down here. These guys right here say, from the mapping, all right, we're going to determine whether the function is a one-to-one or a many-to-one. And then we're going to see if the inverse is also a function. So let's look at this guy. So I'm looking down here, and every input has an output. All right. To find the inverse, all you do is you switch your x's and your y's. You switch your inputs and outputs. So this -2 comes here, and it is now grouped to 4. The 4 switches to range. All right. This -3, which was a range, right, is now in the domain, and my 0, which was in the domain, is now my range. And obviously, we're just flipping our x and y's. This 1, 2 turns into 2, 1. Now, when I look at this original one, this original one was a one-to-one function, because not only does every input have one output, but all of these outputs only have one input. And when I turn and find the inverse of a one-to-one function, my new function is also my new relation is a function. So this is also a function. Every input of the new relation has only one output. So this is a function. All right, let's look at B together. All right, look here, and again, we have a function here. Every input has an output. But when you come over to the outputs, one of these outputs has more than one input. So this is a many. It only takes one. Many-to-one. All right. When I find the inverse, I switch this 2 and this 4. I switch this 3 and this 0. But this 2, right, my new input has more than one output. So this many-to-one function is no longer a function, not a function, when we find the inverse. All right. So, conclusion. If you have a one-to-one function, then the inverse is also a function. It's actually is also a one-to-one function. All right. A many-to-one function, the inverse is no longer a function. All right. So, really quick down here, there's a difference between an inverse relationship, which is what we see right here. All right. It's when you reverse the x and y's. The x equals the output and the y equals the input. All right. Instead of the vice versa, the y being the output and the x being the input. All right. In an inverse function, it's very important. It's written like this. This is not the negative first power. That is s inverse of x. Once you reverse it, every input still has an output. It's still a function. All right. I'm going to finish this page just because this is one thing that we should notice about an inverse function. So when I reverse these, and that is how you find the inverse, you reverse your x and y's. This -4, -2 comes here. The 0, -3 comes here. The 1, 2 comes here. And the 4, 1 comes here. We're going to see something happen. All right. So if we plot those points, all right, -2, -4, I'm going to show you where it comes from. Comes from the -4, -2. All right. This 0, -3 turns into -3, 0. I'm going to draw a line so you can see something. All right. This 1, 2 goes into 2, 1. Well, here's 1, 2, and there's 2, 1. All right. 4, 1, and 1, 4. Well, here's 4, 1, and here's 1, 4. And look, we can see that all of these are equal distance from the line y = x. That means all of these are a reflection over the line y = x. So if you're looking at a graph and you find the inverse of a function, the inverse of a function is just the reflection of the original function over the line y = x. I'm going to stop that for right now, and I'm going to give you some practice and show you how to find a function in the next video, and I will talk to you soon.